awkward? Does it look weird? Yeah, I know, it's stripes and stripes. I didn't plan this. I planned the top because it's fall now, and this felt very pre-Halloween to me, and I wanted to honor the season with appropriate clothing. And then I just grabbed this apron to sort of switch it up. Maybe too much of a good thing? Hello everybody, welcome to my kitchen. Happy fall. Aren't you glad the weather has changed? I am. It was brutally hot. It was like a sauna in here. Today we're going to be making a very small lasagna. This recipe comes from my cookbook, Lonely Dining. When I'm eating alone by myself in my apartment, I will often keep it really simple. A piece of crusty bread with a hunk of really good stinky cheese and a glass of wine. Or some leftover bean stew eaten cold straight from the fridge with a spoon. But there are times when I am wanting something that's really company worthy, something really rich and decadent, but I do not want to spend an entire day cooking. I just want those like really rich, bold flavors. And that's what this very small lasagna delivers. A lot of lasagna recipes, in my opinion, are just really wrong texture-wise. Number one, I don't like soft food. That's kind of disgusting. I definitely want some texture and some bite. Let me start by stating that I love the edge pieces of a lasagna. Those corner pieces on the edges where everything overbakes a little bit and it's really crispy and deeply browned and maybe even a little bit burnt. I actually spend a lot of time trying to come up with a way to make a lasagna that was just all edge pieces. And then the answer was staring me right in the face, and that is the very small lasagna. This size is very much a win-win situation because I do not want a huge pan of leftover lasagna sitting in my refrigerator reminding me every time that I open the door that I'm single and alone. Okay, I'm going to level set our approach for this lasagna right up front. This is going to be very different than your traditional big pan of lasagna because we want to produce those big slow cooked flavors in a really short amount of time. So instead of using a canned tomato, crushed tomato, we're going to be using tomato paste, which is already really concentrated, super important and non-negotiable. Anchovies. For you anchovy haters or anchovy phobes, I don't even know what you're doing here. If you are like that, it's really time to grow up and get with the program. We are going to be using capers, of course, because if you're going to be using anchovies, you have to use capers, non-negotiable. Another shortcut, really important one, is we are going to be using no boil noodles. Okay, I can't stress this enough. If you boil the noodles, they will be soft. This is not what we're going for here. We are going for crispy edges and texture. So although I want my lasagna to be crispy and kind of crunchy, I also want it to be cheesy. We're going to be using two kinds of cheese. We'll be using whole milk ricotta and we'll be using whole milk, low moisture mozzarella. Okay, to make this quick sauce, you're going to cut up an onion and a whole handful of garlic cloves. And just get that stirred around and then add almost an entire tube of tomato paste. That's going to be our main flavoring ingredient. I had a couple of fresh tomatoes, so I just crushed them up with my hands and included them because I thought they'd add some nice chunky texture. And next come my anchovies. This is so important. It doesn't make it fishy, it just makes it umami and yes, somewhat fishy. Next, I'm going to add a big handful of capers. That makes it really salty and briny, which goes well with the fishiness. Well, okay, not fishy, but yeah, it's fishy. Okay, let's start assembling this lasagna. So I have my little pan here, and I'm going to start by putting a little bit of olive oil in the bottom. Again, this is because I want everything to brown really well. And I'll start with some of our sauce and get that in the bottom of the pan. Then we'll layer it with one of our noodles and break that. Yeah, okay, just kind of try to get it in there. You can kind of snap it into place there. And then I'm going to top that with some cheese. And get that layered. And then some more of the noodle. And then, just keep going like this. Now, I also want to add a little brightness to this. So I'm going to layer some parsley in there. And I want to keep it kind of big because, again, I want it to add a textural element. I really want nice big pieces, the kind that'll get stuck in your teeth. So there we go. Looks awesome. Okay, cover your dish with foil, and we're going to bake it at 400 degrees for about a half an hour, and then we'll take the foil off. Okay, this has been in the oven covered baking for about half an hour, so we're going to uncover it now. We're going to bake it for another 15 minutes uncovered to crisp it up, because again, I'm wanting this to really be crunchy. But to add to that crunchy texture, I'm actually going to take some potato chips and just break those up and put it on top. And now this is going to go back into that 400 degree oven for another like 20 minutes or so. That is just beautiful. And it's piping hot, but it is super, super crisp. Like the entire thing is like crunchy, crisp edges. Phenomenal. So good. It is crisp all the way through. Like those noodles are not soft. I mean, they're soft enough that you can bite through them, but do you hear that? They have texture. That is so good. The fishiness is totally balanced by the brininess of the capers. And you do get those big mouthfuls of parsley too, which is such a nice contrast. It's crunchy, it's cheesy, it's somewhat fishy, but in a really good way. It's briny. It's got tons of texture. It's incredibly rich tasting. If this were a larger size, I would totally invite you to come and have some. But because it's very small, it's only enough for me. So, sorry.